Sometimes you see a guy out there on the court, and as you're watching him play, you can't help but think, that dude was born to play this game. Maybe it's his pure feel that gets you, the way he knows where everybody around him is without even looking their way. Maybe it's the way he controls the ball and shows off an absurd handle with level of casual calm that tells you that thing might as well be attached to his hand. Maybe it's his touch or his shooting stroke or his change in pace. Whatever it is, you watch it and you know that guys like this don't come around often. Well, LaMelo Ball is one of those guys. He was born to play basketball. Honestly, LaMelo's already proven that in the NBA, and he won Rookie of the Year for a reason. He averaged roughly 16, 6, and 6 last year and regularly dazzled with his inherent showmanship and thrilling play style. But now, as he approaches his second year in the association, expectations are going to be a whole lot different for the young Hornet. Last year, LaMelo spent his time establishing that he belonged, that he should never have fallen to the third overall pick, and that he was worthy of every single ounce of the hype. That's great, and it was a necessary step for him, but now that we know that, there's a whole new fundamental question surrounding LaMelo. Can he take the star leap now? Before we get any further, let me just say that I understand that is a whole lot to ask of a player this young. The guy just turned 20 years old a month ago, and everybody develops at a different pace, but no matter what, it takes time. Take your pick of your favorite NBA player, Steph, KD, Kawhi, Giannis, Jokic. They probably weren't an all-star in year 2. But it's not impossible to see a player take the jump to stardom this soon. In fact, 2 years ago, we saw both Trae Young and Luka Doncic improve from impressive, highly productive, yet flawed rookies to dudes averaging roughly 29 points and 9 assists per game as sophomores. Now, maybe we were just spoiled with those two, but in today's NBA, with offense optimized and players more skilled than ever before, earlier than ever before, it's possible that some special dudes are just ready to take the leap sooner. Specifically guys who can score, play make, and command the game all at a high level, and I believe LaMelo is one of those special players. Now, as we take a look at why that's the case, I think we need to first understand LaMelo's arc as a rookie, because frankly, within last year, we already saw the guy take a leap. LaMelo spent his first 20 games of the season on Charlotte's bench as a member of a crowded guard rotation. In that role, his playmaking prowess was evident from the jump, and he had plenty of moments of brilliance, but he struggled shooting the ball, and his scoring production was somewhat inconsistent as he attempted to define what his role really was in the Hornets' offense. Then, on February 1st, LaMelo was inserted into the Hornets' starting lineup and basically immediately excelled. Overall, in 31 games as a starter last year, LaMelo averaged roughly 18, 5, and 6 on 44, 38, 76 splits, which, as you can see, marked dramatic improvement from his days coming off the bench. And he was even more outstanding than that before he suffered an injury in late March that kept him out for considerable time. As in his first 21 games as a starter, LaMelo averaged 19.5 points per game on nearly 43% shooting from deep, which was just ridiculous. So immediately, that production jumps out at you, because there's not a whole lot of guys who can do that at 19. But in spite of his hot shooting streak, LaMelo wasn't exactly the most efficient scorer overall as a rookie. His true shooting percentage of 53.9 was a good 3 points below league average, and he ranked in just the 39th percentile as a pick and roll bucket getter, which is overwhelmingly the foundation for great guards in today's NBA. But here's the thing, that really doesn't matter all that much to me. As I've said many times before, rookie guards are inefficient, almost every single one, no matter how good of a prospect they are. In fact, LaMelo's true shooting percentage last year was exactly equal to rookie Trae Young's and within nearly 0.5% of rookie Luka's. So that is not at all a cause for concern on its own, and it's really not where our primary focus should be with guys this young. What matters much more are the traits a player demonstrates and how projectable his game is in the areas that matter most. For example, Trae Young was a 46th percentile pick and roll scorer as a rookie. Not great. But if you looked at those pick and roll possessions, you saw all the traits there for him to be a star. His self-assured pace and ridiculous quickness, his unreal floater and playmaking instincts, his lethal perimeter shot, and now, this year, he just ran the most pick and roll in basketball very efficiently and dismantled several elite defenses in the playoffs, doing so while relying heavily on those outstanding traits. So, my point is that I don't really care that LaMelo wasn't a super efficient pick and roll scorer as a rookie, because I think he has the tools to excel there very soon. And with LaMelo, the scoring, although promising, is not his defining trait. What makes his game truly exceptional is his passing, something he shares in common with both Luka and Trae, both of whom are at least as good playmakers as they are scorers, which is saying a lot. And, by the way, it's no coincidence that the guys rising to superstar status quickly are the ones with that playmaking foundation, because that immediately allows them to elevate an entire offense effectively on their own. Look at Trey or Luka. Their coaches basically just put the ball in their hands for 40 minutes and let them do their thing, running a whole bunch of pick and roll, dotting up shooters, and tossing lobs, and it led to some really good offense. For a great young pure scorer, it's not possible to manufacture good offense in that same way. That guy needs to find the right situation with the ideal personnel around him to actually thrive and win. Like, Devin Booker could get buckets very early on, but he couldn't carry an entire offense because his playmaking wasn't as developed. So, accordingly, he was labeled an empty scorer when really, he just wasn't a one-man offensive engine. So LaMelo is already in the better mold to take that early leap. But LaMelo is not just a really good playmaker. He is transcendent. Keep in mind, I'm young, but last year I described him as the best passing prospect I'd ever evaluated, which was very much validated in his rookie year, because the sophistication he showed there at that age is just unthinkable. Alongside Nikola Jokic, LaMelo may already be the most creative passer in the NBA, because there is nothing he won't try. Full court transition heaves, no-look dimes, passes with disgusting amounts of backspin on them. If he believes he can do it, and there's little he doesn't believe he can do, then he'll try it, and most of the time, he'll succeed. Fundamentally, that vision is what makes for a great passer, because playmaking isn't like scoring. You can't manufacture an opportunity by shooting over somebody no matter what like KD, or overpower somebody every time down like Zion, and to be clear, that's not at all to diminish what those guys do, because it's insane, but it's different. As a passer, you have to create chances that the defense can't perceive or react to quickly, which means you inherently have to see and try things that other people wouldn't to be a great playmaker. LaMelo makes that look routine. Specifically out of the pick and roll, which is again the most important area for any lead guard today, LaMelo's awareness of his role man's position is almost incomprehensibly impressive, especially given that he is 20 years old. Last season, Biyombo or Zeller may not have always known what LaMelo had planned, but the defenders certainly didn't either, and LaMelo always knew where his guys were, and he could hit them on the money from anywhere. He's also a phenomenal lob thrower, which is a great tool for any pick and roll ball handler, especially a guy with a floater like LaMelo, because as we've seen Trae Young make very clear, if you get to the free throw line with one paint defender in your way, those are your two best options. Hit the floater or throw the lob, and if you can do them both easily, you become nearly unstoppable. It creates a very unpleasant dilemma for that defender, which, by the way, LaMelo already does in other ways very often, because his disguise as a passer is impossibly good. LaMelo does not whatsoever have to look at a player to get him the ball right on target, and he can seamlessly adjust from his apparent course midair or mid-drive, firing passes out of his pocket so fast that the defender doesn't even have a prayer to react. And that's another crazy thing about LaMelo's passing. He acts absurdly quickly. Even when he's off schedule in some way, like if he's picking up a loose ball or he encounters an unexpected help defender, if there is a pass to be made to an open guy, he will make it immediately. It also helps in that effort that he is a phenomenal one-handed passer, which makes improvisation easier as he delivers the ball with remarkable velocity there. He can also throw nifty bounce passes or manipulate the spin of the ball exceptionally well. There's just no opportunity he doesn't see and no way in which he can't deliver the rock. Truly. The 6.1 assists per game he averages as a rookie is an excellent number, but that is the absolute floor for him in that respect. And provided that his role increases as it should, he'll never average that few dimes again in a single year. So that passing is eye-popping and generational. But LaMelo still needs to be a legitimate high-end scorer to maximize its value. Look at all the great point guards in the league today. All of them, and I mean this, every single one, is a high-level scorer who can get it done off the bounce and out of the pick and roll. If you can't punish a team with your jumper or floater, you don't stretch the defense out. And if you aren't applying pressure to a defense, your playmaking opportunities are diminished significantly, no matter how good of a pure passer you are. The good news is, I think LaMelo has all the traits to be quite good as a scorer, too. Really, this starts with his general poise and comfort out of the pick and roll, which is interrelated with his playmaking, but it's just one of the craziest aspects of his game. LaMelo is flat out one of the most, if not the most, evidently natural basketball players I have ever seen. His handle is downright mesmerizing, and he can do whatever he wants with that ball in a way that looks genuinely effortless. His movement style is also just perfect for a basketball court. LaMelo plays with phenomenal pace. He slithers and decelerates at an elite level, and he has impressive bursts too, which makes him a very tough cover. That change in pace is arguably the essential skill for a great pick and roll scorer, and LaMelo's prowess there is really outstanding. Beyond that, though, if I were going to identify a trait that pick and roll scoring guards need today, I would immediately go to the floater as a means to keep defenses honest. And LaMelo has tremendous promise there, too. He shot 44% on floaters last year, which is pretty darn good for a rookie, but that doesn't reflect how impressive of a shot it really is, because the range from which he can throw up floaters while maintaining his touch is ridiculous. This dude genuinely attempts and hits 17-foot floaters in a way nobody else does, and he loves the shot as a tool to get off a look whenever in traffic. He's probably a bit overly reliant on it at this point, but I'm really not too worried about that because it's a great shot for him to really refine, and it's a key reason he has a high ceiling as a pick and roll scorer. Then you have his finishing at the rim, where LaMelo is highly ambidextrous and creative and has soft touch. At this stage, LaMelo can at times overcomplicate finishes and avoid contact just a bit, which is the reason he's probably an average overall finisher right now, having shot just 57.6% at the rim as a rookie. But he's a promising foundation there, and given how he can contort his body and control the ball at 6'6", he could one day excel there. He's also had occasional moments where he's kind of bullied smaller guards, which would be great for him to develop further. He'll certainly never be Luka strong or skilled down there, but this man is going to be guarded by a lot of players who are smaller than him in his career, and he needs to be able to take advantage of his athletic tools there accordingly. Overall, LaMelo took a solid 30% of his shots at the rim and got to the line 3.2 times per game last year, which is also promising because it reflects the fact that he's not overly reliant on his jump shot and he can get to the bucket and the line often enough to create high probability opportunities. So overall, he had a really sound foundation on the inside as a rookie and wasn't significantly underdeveloped in any area. But the guy does have a very legit jump shot too. He shot 35% from deep this past year and was better than 39% off the catch, which also gives him some off-ball value. He is plenty confident in his shot too, which is great. And although his mechanics are unorthodox, I think he has room to turn into a terrifying shooter off the dribble. We saw glimpses of that his rookie year when he drilled 10 of 20 step-back threes, and that's a small sample size, sure, but nevertheless a foundation for one of the most valuable weapons a scorer can have. Plus, again, he's just a willing pull-up jump shooter from deep, and given his touch, his percentage off the catch, his handle, all of that, I think he's only going to get more consistent and better there as the years go on. So, even as a scorer, which again, is not his primary strength, the tools are all there. I'd argue there's probably no essential skill that you could point at and say, LaMelo won't be able to do that at a high level. It's really just a matter of if he can do it consistently this early on. And sure, that's a lot to ask, but I really think he's just a couple percentage points or a couple small adjustments away from being at that level there in every category. And given how dramatically we've seen this man evolve in his basketball career, I think he absolutely could. So that's scary. Also, we focused overwhelmingly on his game as a half-court ball handler, but LaMelo is a dynamic transition player. He's basically the dream grab-and-go guy, a good athlete who can legitimately move, but also sees everything. And he does stuff in transition that I have genuinely never seen before as a passer. He just blows my mind, truly. Plus, he loves to push, so although I think this is one of the more straightforward elements of his game, it is absolutely part of what makes him special and should be something that sets him apart from other great half-court guards throughout his career. So skill set-wise, he's really not far off. But to take the true star leap, LaMelo doesn't just need to be talented. He also has to have ample opportunity to produce and effectively, in my opinion, be given the keys to the offense. Now, there's a whole lot of talent in Charlotte and plenty of guys who can get their own shot one-on-one, but there is nobody who commands the game like LaMelo. Gordon Hayward is a super gifted offensive player, partly because he's so versatile. He can thrive handling out of the pick and roll, or as a catch and shooter, or in spots, even as a screener or a cutter. Terry Rozier is an electrifying pure scorer, a lethal catch and shooter and isolation bucket, but a sort of meh playmaker. Miles Bridges went on an absolute tear towards the end of last year, averaging a wildly efficient 20 points per game over his last 20 outings, but he's also a one-on-one scorer, catch and shooter, and transition presence. So all of those guys need the ball in their hands a bit, sure, but in my eyes, none of them can approximate the value to the team that LaMelo has, and I truly believe they can all play off of him with success. So let them play off of him. Let them benefit from his command of the game and the many opportunities he'll create for them, and both LaMelo and this offense will thrive. If that happens, I'd say I expect LaMelo to average around 20, 6, and 8 this year on solid efficiency, which, by the way, is pretty much what he already did last year in games in which he played 30-plus minutes. So again, he's just not far off from already being a star. I don't think we can expect him to be an elite scorer this year and take the leap quite to that Luka or Trey level, but he should be very good there, and he truly can establish himself as one of the absolute best playmakers in basketball and a guy who drives an offense as a whole to excel. And if he can do that in year 2 with all the offensive talent around him, this Charlotte team is going to be pretty darn scary, and he will undeniably be a star. To those of you who have made it this far, as always, thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed. If you have, feel free to stick around here on our YouTube channel. As you can see, we do a lot of video breakdown content like this. My friend Logan, with whom I do our podcast here at Nerd Sesh, just made a video on Daniel Jones a few days ago that you can go and check out. I try to make an NBA breakdown once a week, so you can see all of those. You can also see that we do a podcast 3 times a week. 2 of those shows are live streamed here on our YouTube channel. We talk about both the NBA, the NFL, and trivia in both of those respective sports because we love that side of it as well. The history. You can also follow us on social media. Twitter is at nerd_sesh. Instagram and TikTok are both at Nerd Sesh. You can listen to the podcast in audio form only. Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your content there, and that'll all be linked in the description too. And with that, as always, guys, thanks so much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed.